The storm came without warning. Thick clouds rolled over the quiet farming moon, and the wind howled across the open fields like something alive. Rain struck the metal roof of the old barn in heavy waves. Inside his small farmhouse, a human named Edrin Hale sat at the table listening. He had lived on this land for many years and storms were nothing new. But this one felt different. The air felt heavy as if the night itself was holding its breath. Then he heard it. A sound cut through the storm. It was faint, almost lost under the rain and thunder, but it did not sound like wind or metal. It sounded like a cry. Edrin stood up slowly. He waited, listening again. The sound came once more. Soft, broken, full of fear. It came from the barn, he said to himself. Most people would have stayed inside. Dragons were real in this part of the galaxy. Rare, powerful, and feared. Even the smallest ones could bring trouble. But Edrin had always lived a quiet life. He believed fear only grew when kindness was missing. He pulled on his coat, grabbed a lantern and stepped into the storm. The rain soaked him in seconds. Mud pulled at his boots as he crossed the open ground toward the barn. Thunder cracked above, lighting the sky for a brief moment. The barn doors stood slightly open, moving with the wind. The cry came again, clearer now. It was weak, desperate. Edrin pushed the door open. Inside, the barn was dark except for the soft glow of his lantern. Rain dripped through holes in the roof. Hay lay scattered across the floor. Then he saw movement near the far wall. Something small was curled up there. At first he thought it was an animal. Then the lantern light touched smooth scales, pale blue and silver, shaking with cold. Small wings were folded tight against a thin body. A long tail twitched weakly. Two large eyes looked up at him, glowing faintly. It was a dragon child. Edrin froze. His heart pounded hard in his chest. Every story he had ever heard rushed through his mind. Dragons burned cities. Dragons ruled worlds. Dragons did not belong in barns. But this one was not roaring. It was crying. The dragon child tried to move, then failed. One wing dragged on the ground. A shallow cut ran along its side, not bleeding much, but clearly painful. Its breathing was fast and uneven. Edrin lowered the lantern and raised his empty hands. "It's all right," he said softly. "I won't hurt you." The dragon child hissed weakly, more fear than threat. A small flicker of light escaped its mouth, then faded. It was too tired even to be dangerous. Edrin took one slow step closer. Then another. The dragon child did not move away. It only watched him, eyes wide, shaking harder as cold wind blew through the barn. "You're freezing," Edrin said quietly. He remembered something from long ago. His mother had once told him, "When you don't know what to do, choose to care." He removed his coat and gently placed it on the ground between them. Then he stepped back and waited. The dragon child stared at the coat. Slowly, with shaking movements, it crawled forward and pulled the fabric around itself. The crying softened into small, tired sounds. Edrin let out a breath he did not know he was holding. "All right," he whispered. "That's good." He moved carefully, closing the barn doors to block the wind. Then he lit a small heater used for sick animals and placed it at a safe distance. Warm air slowly filled the space. The dragon child relaxed just a little. Edrin sat on an old crate, keeping space between them. He did not reach out. He did not rush. He only stayed. Outside, the storm raged on. Thunder shook the ground. But inside the barn, something had changed. Minutes passed. Then more. The dragon child lifted its head and looked at Edrin again. This time there was less fear in its eyes. More confusion. Maybe even hope. Edrin reached into his pocket and pulled out a piece of dried grain cake. He placed it on the floor and pushed it gently forward. "For you," he said. The dragon child sniffed it. Carefully it took a bite. Then another. Its small body seemed to relax as it ate. Edrin smiled faintly. Somewhere far above the clouds, sensors shifted. Old systems noticed a signal that should not be there. A dragon child, alive, far from its kind. But Edrin did not know that yet. To him, there was only the barn, the storm, and a small, frightened creature that had chosen his land to collapse upon. As the night stretched on, Edrin stayed awake, feeding the heater, watching the dragon child breathe, making sure it did not worsen. He felt tired, soaked, and unsure of the future. But he did not regret opening the barn. Because in that single choice, made in the middle of a storm, something ancient and powerful had begun to shift. And by morning nothing would ever be the same. Morning did not come all at once. The storm slowly weakened, the heavy rain turning into a light mist. Pale light slipped through the cracks in the barn walls. Edrin had not slept. He sat on the crate with his back against the wall, eyes heavy but alert. Every few moments he looked at the dragon child. The small dragon was curled on the hay, wrapped in his coat. Its breathing was calmer now. The color in its scales looked brighter in the morning light, like frost touched by sunlight. One wing still lay at an odd angle, but the shaking had stopped. Edrin stood quietly and stretched his stiff legs. He moved slowly, not wanting to frighten the child. The dragon's eyes opened and followed him. There was still fear there, but it was quieter than before. "Good morning," Edrin said softly. The dragon made a small sound, not a cry this time, but something gentle. It did not try to move away. Edrin took that as a sign. He brought fresh water in a shallow metal bowl and placed it nearby. The dragon sniffed it, then drank carefully. A little water spilled down its chin, and it made a strange sound that almost sounded like surprise. Edrin smiled. Outside the barn, the world looked clean and new. Rain had washed the fields and the air smelled fresh. It felt like a normal morning, yet Edrin knew nothing was normal anymore. He checked the wing more closely, still keeping distance. The injury looked like a hard fall, not a fight. No burn marks. No signs of attack. "You didn't come here to cause trouble," he murmured. "You were running." The dragon blinked slowly. Edrin took a risk. He reached out just a little and held his hand still, palm open. He waited. Seconds passed. The dragon child leaned forward and touched his fingers with the tip of its nose. The touch was warm. Not fire-hot. Just alive. Edrin's breath caught. "It's all right," he whispered. "You're safe here." The dragon pulled back, then slowly settled again. It did not attack. It did not flee. Trust, small and fragile, had begun. Edrin spent the next hours turning the barn into a safer place. He blocked cold air gaps with old boards. He added fresh hay. He adjusted the heater so the warmth stayed steady. All the while, the dragon watched him closely, learning his movements, his sounds, his rhythm. When Edrin brought food for himself, the dragon watched again. He broke off small pieces and placed them on the ground. The dragon ate, slower now, more relaxed. They shared the space without words. As the sun rose higher, distant sounds carried across the land. Engines. Not close, but far enough to make Edrin tense. He stepped outside briefly and scanned the sky. Nothing yet. Still, he knew better than to believe in luck. Dragons were not meant to be alone. If a child had fallen here, someone would come looking. Maybe not today. Maybe not tomorrow. But soon. He returned to the barn and closed the door again. "You can stay," he said quietly. "For now." The dragon lifted its head and made a soft sound. It crawled closer, stopping just short of him. Then it lay down, facing him, eyes half closed. Edrin sat on the ground this time, not above it. He did not try to touch the dragon again. He simply shared the floor, sharing the space. Hours passed like that. The dragon slept. Edrin watched. In that quiet time, something strange happened. The barn felt different. Warmer. Calmer. Like it had become more than wood and metal. Like it was a promise. Outside, sensors on distant stations picked up faint energy traces. Too small to alarm, but enough to notice. Data logs marked the location. Curiosity began to spread. Inside the barn, the dragon stirred and slowly stood. It tested its injured wing again. This time it held its balance better. Edrin noticed and gently stood too. "Easy," he said. The dragon took one careful step toward him. Then another. It reached him and rested its head against his leg. Edrin did not move. A quiet laugh escaped him. "I guess the barn is yours now." The dragon made a soft, warm sound, almost like contentment. As the sun moved across the sky, shadows shifted. Edrin knew this peace would not last forever. But for this moment it was real. A human farmer and a dragon child sharing shelter, warmth, and trust. And somewhere far away the galaxy was beginning to pay attention. The first sign was not sound, but silence. The birds that lived near the field stopped calling. The wind slowed as if the air itself was listening. Edrin felt it before he saw anything. A pressure in his chest. A warning that came from years of living alone and paying attention to small changes. The dragon child felt it too. It lifted its head and turned toward the barn door, body tense. A faint glow moved under its scales, like light under ice. Edrin stood slowly. "Easy," he whispered. "I feel it too." A low hum rolled across the sky. Distant. Controlled. Not a storm. Not a ship passing by without care. The sound was searching. Edrin stepped outside the barn and looked up. High above the clouds, something moved. A dark shape, smooth and sharp, sliding across the sky. Then another. And another. Not close enough to see clearly, but close enough to know they were not civilian craft. Scanners. Edrin swallowed. The dragon child made a small, sharp sound behind him. He turned and saw it crouched low, wings tight to its body. Fear had returned to its eyes. "They're not here yet," Edrin said softly. "But they're looking." The hum grew louder, then faded, then returned again. A wide sweep pattern. Somewhere in space, long-range sensors had locked onto a signal that should not exist on a quiet farming moon. Ancient energy. Dragon energy. Weak but real. And the galaxy noticed. Edrin closed the barn doors and dimmed the heater. He moved with calm purpose, though his heart was beating fast. He did not run. He did not panic. He sat on the ground again, keeping his movements slow. "You're not alone," he said. "Whatever happens, you're not alone." The dragon child crept closer, pressing its side against his leg. His body was warm now, stronger than before. Minutes passed. Then hours. The ships did not land. They circled. Watched. Gathered data. By late afternoon, a new sound joined the hum. A sharper tone. Focused. A probe dropped through the clouds and hovered above the fields, red lights scanning the ground. Edrin watched from the barn window, breath held. The probe moved closer. The dragon child stood suddenly, stepping in front of Edrin. Its wings spread slightly, not in attack but in defense. "No," Edrin said gently. "You don't have to protect me." But the dragon did not move. The probe paused, then slowly lowered. A voice came through the air, calm and distant. "Human resident. This is a non-hostile survey unit. We have detected an anomaly. Please respond." Edrin felt his throat tighten. He stepped forward, placing himself beside the dragon child, not in front of it. "There's no threat here," he said. His voice was steady. "Just a child who needed shelter." Silence followed. The probe scanned again, focusing on the dragon. Data streams flowed. Signals jumped across space. Elsewhere, those signals reached old councils, hidden stations, and watchers who remembered ancient agreements. A dragon child, alive, protected by a human. That was not supposed to happen. The voice returned, slower now. "You are sheltering a protected life form. This area is under observation." "I'm not hurting it," Edrin replied. "And I won't hand it over." The probe hesitated. The dragon child made a low sound, not angry but strong. The glow under its scales brightened for a moment, then faded. The probe backed away slightly. Observation turned into interest. Interest turned into attention. As the sun dipped low, new ships appeared on the edge of the sky. Larger. Older designs mixed with newer ones. Not all human. Edrin understood then. This was bigger than him. Bigger than the farm. Still he stayed. Night fell again. Lights hovered far away, keeping distance. No one landed. No one attacked. They were watching. Inside the barn, Edrin fed the dragon and wrapped its wing again. The dragon leaned into him, trusting, calm despite the danger. "You chose this place," Edrin whispered. "I'll stand by that choice." Above them, data spread across the galaxy. Reports were sent. Arguments began. Questions were asked. Could a human be trusted with a dragon child? Was kindness a valid claim? In the quiet barn, none of that mattered yet. Only one thing did. By choosing shelter instead of fear, Edrin had drawn the eyes of the galaxy. And once the galaxy notices something, it never truly looks away. The first ship landed before dawn. Its shadow crossed the fields like a slow-moving cloud, blocking the stars. The ground did not shake. The engines were careful, respectful. That alone told Edrin this was not a raid. Still, his hands were tight at his sides. The dragon child woke at once. It lifted its head and let out a low warning sound. Light moved under its scales, stronger than before. "I know," Edrin whispered. "I feel it too." The barn doors opened on their own. Cold air slid inside, carrying a clean metal smell. A ramp lowered, smooth and quiet. 3 figures walked down. They were tall, wrapped in long coats with symbols Edrin did not know. Their faces were visible. Not monsters. Not soldiers ready to fight. Their eyes were sharp, old and focused. Behind them, drones hovered, recording everything. The lead figure stopped several steps away. "Human farmer," the figure said. The voice was calm, neither male nor female. "You are called Edrin." Edrin nodded. "Yes." "You shelter a dragon child." "Yes." "You understand the risk." "I do." The dragon child stepped forward, placing itself between Edrin and the visitors. Its wings spread wider this time. The air warmed. The figures did not react with fear. Instead, the lead one raised a hand. "We are not here to take it by force," the figure said. "But history demands a choice." Edrin felt his chest tighten. What choice? The lead figure turned slightly, letting Edrin see the symbol on their chest. An old mark. A broken circle joined again. Long ago, the figure said, dragons and humans made a rule. Dragons would hide. Humans would forget. Balance would remain. Edrin said nothing. That balance broke the moment you opened your barn, the figure continued. Not because of power. Because of kindness. The dragon child made a soft sound, confused. You can step aside, the figure said. We will take the child to its kind. You will be rewarded. Protected. Your world will remain quiet. Edrin looked down at the dragon child. He remembered the storm. The cold. The small, shaking body in the rain. And if I say no, he asked. The field was silent. Then the truth spreads, the figure said. Other humans will learn dragons are real. Some will fear them. Some will hunt them. Some will try to use them. Edrin swallowed. And the dragons? They will remember humans again, the figure replied. As threats. Or as something else. The dragon child pressed against Edrin's leg. Not hiding. Choosing. Edrin took a slow breath. I won't give it up, he said. Not like that. The figures did not move. I won't hide what happened here either, Edrin continued. But I won't let fear lead it. If dragons return, let it be because of trust. Not force. The drones adjusted, recording every word. The lead figure studied him for a long moment. Then, slowly they lowered their hand. This answer will change history, the figure said. You understand that? Edrin nodded. Someone had to choose first. The dragon child lifted its head and let out a clear sound. Not a roar. A call. The air shifted. High above, shapes moved in the clouds. Massive. Silent. Watching. The visitors looked up. So it begins, one of them murmured. The lead figure stepped back. We will not take the child, they said. Not today. Relief hit Edrin so fast his knees felt weak. But understand this, the figure added. From this moment on, you are no longer just a farmer. What am I then? Edrin asked. A witness, the figure replied. And a bridge. The ramp lifted. The ship rose without sound and vanished into the clouds. The field returned to stillness. The dragon child relaxed, wings folding in. It looked up at Edrin, eyes bright. I didn't know if that would work, Edrin said softly. He laughed once, shaky. But I meant every word. The dragon leaned into him. Warm. Solid. Real. By sunrise, the sky was full of movement. Not ships landing, but distant shapes circling high above. Dragons. Old and young. Watching from afar. News spread faster than light. A human who refused power. A dragon child who chose him. Councils argued. Borders shifted. Old warnings failed. On a quiet farm, Edrin fed the animals as always. He fixed a broken fence. He boiled water for tea. Nothing looked different. But everything was. When the dragon child stepped into the morning light, its scales shone brighter than before. Not with fire. With belonging. And somewhere far beyond the clouds, the galaxy adjusted its future around one simple choice made in a barn during a storm. Morning did not arrive quietly. The sky burned with color as dozens of ships held position above the valley. They did not land. They waited. Light rippled across their hulls like nervous breaths. Edrin stood outside the barn before the sun cleared the hills. The ground felt alive under his boots. The air hummed, not with danger but with attention. The dragon child stepped beside him. Overnight it had grown. Not much but enough that Edrin noticed. Its wings looked stronger. Its eyes were clearer. It no longer shivered. You're changing, Edrin said softly. The dragon tilted its head and touched his arm with the side of its snout. Warmth flowed through him, steady and calm. Across the fields people began to gather. Neighbors. Travelers. Some came on foot. Some arrived in quiet ground vehicles. They stopped at a distance, unsure if they were welcome. None of them carried weapons. Word had spread before sunrise. Not through fear. Through wonder. A human sheltered a dragon and lived. A choice echoed louder than any broadcast. A single figure stepped forward from the crowd. An older woman named Selka, who had lived on the edge of the valley longer than anyone. She raised her empty hands. We saw the lights, she said. We saw the sky move. Are we in danger? Edrin looked at the dragon child. Then back at Selka. No, he said. Not if we stay human. Murmurs rolled through the crowd. Confusion. Relief. Curiosity. High above, a shadow passed across the sun. A massive shape descended from the clouds. The air pressed down as the great dragon landed beyond the fields, careful not to crush the land. Its scales were dark silver. Its eyes held ages. The crowd gasped. Some fell to their knees. Others stepped back in fear. Edrin did not move. The great dragon lowered its head until one massive eye faced him. "You are the one," the dragon said. The voice did not enter ears. It entered thoughts. "The small one chose you." Edrin nodded. "Yes." "Why?" the dragon asked. Edrin felt the weight of the moment. He thought of fear, of power, of how easy it would have been to say no. "Because it was cold," he said. "And alone." Silence followed. Then the great dragon did something no one expected. It bowed. The crowd froze. "You remind us of what we forgot," the dragon said. "We believed strength was protection. We were wrong." The dragon child stepped forward. It spread its wings and answered with a clear, steady sound. Pride filled the air. More shapes descended. Not all at once. One by one. Dragons of different sizes and colors. They landed far apart, giving space. The valley became a meeting ground. Ships above lowered their altitude. Beams of light scanned but did not threaten. The same tall figure from the night before stepped out from a ship, walking toward Edrin again. "The councils are watching," the figure said. "Every word spoken here will shape the future." Edrin took a breath. His voice shook, but he spoke anyway. "Then let them hear this," he said. "No one owns another life. Not dragons. Not humans. Not councils." The figure studied him. "And the child?" "It decides," Edrin said. "Not today. Not alone. But when it's ready." The dragon child pressed closer to him, then turned toward the great dragon. It hesitated. Then it looked back at Edrin. The great dragon lowered its head again. "It may walk between worlds," it said. "If you allow it." Edrin felt tears burn his eyes. "I never meant to change the world," he said. The great dragon's gaze softened. "Neither did we when we hid." The crowd began to relax. Children stepped forward first. They always did. One small boy waved. The dragon child waved back with a wing. Laughter broke the tension like a crack in ice. Ships slowly pulled away. Not all left, but none moved to take control. Observers became witnesses. By midday the valley looked the same. Fields, barn, sky. But everything was different. Humans and dragons spoke. Carefully, slowly, with respect. No laws were written. No borders were drawn. Only one truth spread across systems and worlds. The age of hiding was over. Not because of war. Because one man opened a door during a storm and refused to close it again. When night came, Edrin sat on the barn step. The dragon child curled beside him, larger now, breathing steady. "What happens tomorrow?" Edrin asked. The dragon answered not with words but with a feeling. Hope. Above them, stars shifted as new paths formed. By morning nothing was the same. And for the first time in a very long time, that was not a bad thing at all.